everybody should know how we do our books, because in order to make them accurate, we have to do so much research, and we want them to know that the research is correct. So at the end of my books, I always put a note from the author. And I make them as interesting and entertaining as I possibly can, but tell them how I went about doing the research and where I got it, and funny stories about it that are maybe on a little higher age level than the reader sometimes, and maybe not. And I also have an extensive bibliography in the back of every single one of my books. And the bibliography is not just books. It includes a lot of original source material. Say for Darwin, there are good and bad websites online, and you want to make sure that you get a good one. Well, for Darwin, there was a wonderful one. It comes from England, and it is a totally accessible to the public compilation of every single thing that Darwin wrote in his entire life, word for word. And not only that, but everything that everybody wrote about Darwin, especially during his lifetime, like his wife's letters about him, his friends' letters to him, his letters back and forth between people who were working on things he was working on, like birds or geology and so forth. So I could go to that website, and for free I could pull quotes off of it as long as they're attributed in the back of my book. And it's just very helpful for people to, even who are interested in it, to take a look at the bibliography and the notes, and then they can go back and do more research if they're interested in the topic. So that's how I let them know. You have to be real careful if you're a young author or a potential author to decide that what you're writing about is accurate. Very important, because when you go online, you're going to see things that are wrong. But even, here's something that's interesting to me. I'll read every adult, serious, scholarly version of every book I write for kids. Even though my books are short, I have to do as much research as I would if I were writing for adults. So I go to the most authoritative adult books on the subject I can find to give me a certain feel for the period that's not necessarily in the original source material that the people during the time have written themselves. So if I go to 5 or 6 or 7 books, sometimes they don't all say the same thing, and even the adult books that are good, and they don't all give the same account. So what I have to do, because I'm a control freak, is to compare everybody's accounts of a different incident, say, and look at their source material too in the back of their books, and do a careful enough comparison that I can decide which is the most accurate point of view based on everything I've learned. And I guess all authors do that. We didn't live way back then. So John Smith lived in 1604. My new book that I'm going to talk about is about 1692. We didn't live back then. We didn't see what happened. So we can only do our very, very best to make sure we're doing everything accurately. Just like with the cover of Darwin, where I didn't have any pictures of him at that age group, I had to compare various pictures. So you have to do the same thing for the writing. You have to compare and make sure you get it as close to the actual truth as you honestly can.